This is Trophy Gold Crown of Salt Part 3. We are down Alex today, but that's okay because we will press forward and justify his character's absence from the scenes in some way. I have some thoughts. I do want to do just a quick bit of recapping, real just very high level recap for the actual story. You are all now down into the salt rifts, these like massive cave tunnel system filled with a lot more salt and acid pools and all kinds of strange things. You have reached a sanctuary where you can rest, and that's where we're going to be picking up from. You do have the four mercenaries who are working with you, and and everything is good as far as that goes. You have also come up with a plan for escaping this place if you need to. So that's a thing worth reminding you about. I do want to check in with each of the characters. This is mostly just for the sake of people watching the video. I want to go through and just, if you could please just uh, say your burdens, your gold, your hunt tokens, and your ruin. That would be fantastic. Also, if you have any treasure that's equal to gold, maybe tell us about that too. Just so people have a sense of like, how your characters are doing in terms of like the meta aspects of the game. So let's go left to right. I will note that Cassian, that he has six burdens, one gold, two hunt tokens, and three ruin. The condition choking on salt, and no treasures really. Well, he's got a stone that was found inside a creature worth one gold. Let's go to Nevin.
I am at five burdens, no gold, no treasure.
No treasure and no hunt tokens either. So
Yeah.
what's your ruin?
My rune is three,
Okay,
which is also my
fantastic.
starting rune. So like I'm good.
Yeah, good as far as that goes. Let's go to Basso.
Bazo is sitting currently at four burdens plus the hirelings burdens on top of
Uh,
that, and I have two of those, so that's really smart of me. Uh, one gold, two hunt tokens. My ruin is at four. I have some conditions connected to the bird brain. I owe Nevin a favor and bargain with the bats.
mhm.
And as for found equipment, I have a container of strange microbes or bacteria that's worth a gold. I had the lyre crow. I hope he comes back. Oh, I miss him. Salt that can alter my appearance, which is one light die. I'm not sure how that works, but we'll figure that one out. And a bronze chalice, which is worth one gold. So I'm doing okay.
I think the
This is
salt
probably the
thing
best
was,
I've ever done.
I think that was an omen, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it
Yeah,
is.
that's just something we know rather
Yeah,
than something
Or
we
it's just an
that
omen
could.
you've interpreted,
yeah.
yeah, like
I'll
about
mark
changing
that down.
appearance.
Omen.
Fantastic. Okay, let's keep going with Alicio.
Yeah, Eliseo is at five burdens, two gold in the form of a ring that he found and a broken tooth from the rust hounds. I have one hunt token and I am at my starting rune of three.
Fantastic. Thank you. Okay, I think we're good to go as far as all that goes. Let's just dive right back into it if there are no other questions. So, you have made a little camp in this sanctuary, which is illuminated by these jellyfish floating in the air. They glow with this sort of green blue phosphorescence, kind of like my background and my shirt. um, and they float in the air and they kind of go up into very high. It's hard to tell like how far high up they go, but they don't appear hostile. They're floating above you, and they don't seem to be particularly bothered by your presence. And it seems as if things keep out of their sort of cocoon of light. So you might have noticed like little cave rats and things, right? Or bugs in your journeys up to this point. And you'll notice that they don't approach within that nimbus of light. They will skirt around it, right? And so that's an indication that this is indeed a safe place. The bats that led you here, they they did their end of the bargain. I'll remind you about your end of the bargain. At any time, I can demand an entire reroll of dice. that is the bats taking some of your fate. So it's just once for the whole group, but it's any character, any time of my choice. Time and place of my choosing. The really cruel thing would be if you like roll the exact hard number on a combat and then I make you re-roll it. That would be horrible, right? But
As you say with glee.
I know. like imagine like that 12 endurance fight and you have to get boxcars and you get it after 5 rounds and but yeah, that'd be horrible. It'd be so fucking mean. But you know, that's the bargain you made. I'm gonna just put everybody in time and space before we pick up the scene. So I'm gonna suggest that Cassian and his hireling, who I think is Drathamar, the scholar, they are there. They're just spending quite a lot of time reading through Drathamar's books and records and trying to learn something, some kind of truth about the temple you're trying to find, right? This temple where you expect to find the Cantagaster and the crown and everything, the terminus of this legend, right? And so they're kind of always doing that. And if there is a particular point where their sort of non-combat skills would be useful, like something to do with history or languages or something like that, I'll like say you can know that stuff, but otherwise they're not active in the scenes. 2 of your hirelings, Fergus and Cat Eater, they are a little restless, and so they have actually gone ahead a little bit. Cat Eater always kind of goes ahead, like kind of scouting ahead. Fergus and Cat Eater consider it part of their remit to help you find the temple, right? And so they are kind of leaving the sanctuary briefly to scout ahead, try to see like where's the next place to go. Like, are there any clues about which direction we should be going in these drifts or in this rifts to find this temple? And Lieselot is spending her time shining and caring for her armor and sword. So that is what's going on. She has taken off her helmet, incidentally, for the first time. And I would say that she has a hale and rough-hewn beauty. That's how I shall describe her appearance. What's everyone else doing in the sanctuary? We'll start with Basso.
That's a really good question. I think you know what I'm looking around. I would like to look around the sanctuary because I'm trying to find samples of the environment, and I'm wondering if there's anything that lives in here that might really only exist in here.
It's probably the floating giant jellyfishes.
Yeah, that's. I was kind of hoping it would be something that's a little easier to catch, but
You may go ahead and make the hunt roll in any case. Oh, do we have the die roller? I didn't even see.
yeah, it's in the chat.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Just wondering if I have anything I can add to my roll. No, I'll just do a straight up 1.
Ooh, dangerous 1 die roll.
Oh, I got a 2.
Mm,
It's gonna be one of those days.
could be. Alicia, what are you doing?
I would like to. All right, so I am trying to kill the Cantagaster before Ferguson does, but he clearly doesn't have an idea of who I am.
No.
So I want to follow him and Cat Eater because I don't trust them for like as far as I can throw him, which is admittedly probably pretty far. But I want to basically follow them, and I have a ritual that I would like to use, mask, so I won't be perceived.
Oh,
And I
good.
basically like want to hear like, are they conspiring?
Are they
What
conspiring
they
against you?
doing?
Yeah. That's fantastic. I love this. Let's go ahead and get this roll going. The risk roll is yours. Guide us through it, Jazzy.
Okay. I should have pulled that up.
I want to be reminded what mask does too. Let's see here. I'll read it while you look that up. It says, cover your face to remove yourself from other senses. Ooh, okay, good. That's very, very useful.
No, it's not dark. dark for playing gold. Okay.
We need to just like
So
grab these
risk roll.
risk roll texts and put them somewhere.
Yeah,
So-
I had it pulled up and then
Yeah.
I clicked it away during like
wa-
so I will ask the GM and the other players what could go wrong here.
Hmm.
They
Uh,
spy you the eavesdropping very awkwardly as you're holding your breath.
I think they know you're following them, but they don't let on, and one of them doubles back to get the jump on you.
Got nothing to add. Those are both exactly what I was going to say.
Let's talk
Okay,
about keep going.
I'd take one light die if the task is something you are skilled at because of either your occupation or your background, or if you have useful equipment. I would like to argue distraction or persistence. I think either persistence by just like, how if they're gone for a long time, like doggedly following them, and like the persistence of keeping this ritual up, which I imagine takes
Oh,
something out of
I
me.
like that. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So I'll take one light die. Take a light die for accepting a devil's bargain from another player or the GM. Yeah, I'd love to hear some.
My devil's bargain is no matter what, they run into a monster, and you have to decide whether to help them or not.
Take a
No matter what, you find out that Ferguson is affiliated with the Piper.
Oh, that's interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have any things better than that. Fuck you, Amanda.
Oh, those are both so good. But I feel like the way I was going in my mind, having him be affiliated with the Piper is gonna throw me off more, so I want to take that. I wanna screw myself over that way. And then I will take a dark die if you are risking your mind or body, and I must include this die whenever I perform a ritual, which I am. So that is 2 light, 1 dark. Okay. Well, the highest is a 4, and that's my dark die, so I can't reroll.
Hmm. And then on a 4 or 5, we're having a lot of arguments in Discord about like how to interpret the 4 to 5 result.
What does
Like,
this
what does this
mean?
mean? Yeah, like the consensus seems to be that Alex and I were wrong on Darkened Threshold. That the vice versa means just the order of when the GM does the complication and the player narrates the result. But I still like the idea of inverting like the actual narrative authority too. So I'm gonna go with that and suggest that you tell me the complication, Jazzy, and I will narrate what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me reread the math. So I have to cover my. I kind of like the idea of the complication being that as I'm sort of like doing this, maybe for quite a long time, because they're scouting and they just kind of keep scouting, that maybe the ritual, um, like it doesn't quite like I'm basically like too long in that state where even when I come back, I feel like there's sort of like either you can tell that I've done something, like they can't because they won't see me, but other people can tell that I've basically like done magic for a very long time.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I'm into that. Um, take it as a condition, like you have like some kind of arcane shimmer or something. You can describe it however you want. Um, I'll continue with this in a moment, though. Let's keep going with. I want to check in with Nevin. Nevin, what are you going to do while you're at the sanctuary?
I think, like, considering like two of our treasure, well, hirelings as it were, have wandered off. Eliseo also has wandered off. So like half the group has wandered off. Um, I think with Bazo looking at the jellyfish and whatnot, I think Nevin's gonna try to take up a conversation with Liselet. Because like that's the only person here that's probably willing to have a conversation that isn't gonna get annoyed with him interrupting.
Mm.
Maybe. Probably not.
We shall see. We shall see. We'll come back to this in a moment. Bazo. You got a 2 on your hunt roll, right? I think you take a moment to you're kind of walking around the outer edge of the perimeter, the jellyfish, floating, maybe trying to collect little slime samples or something, maybe there's a dead jellyfish and you're trying to like get something useful out of it because it sits there kind of puddled on the stone. And you hear someone say from the shadows, "Oh my word, could it be? Is it you? It is. It is." A man steps into the light. He is tough looking, armed, haggard though. He seems like he's maybe been lost down here for a while. His beard is quite overgrown. He looks a little malnourished. He says, "I never thought I'd find you again. It is Garrick." Basil, you've never seen this person in your life. Are the others here as well?
I believe you have mistaken me for someone else.
No. No, surely not. And he kind of like sees kind of the rest of the camp and he's like, oh, merciful sisters. I never thought I'd find you again. He just kind of pushes past you, walking toward the camp. He's like, "You're all here. This is incredible. It is Garrick. I have returned." And Eliseo, you're not even there, but Liselot looks up and she mutters to you, Nevin. She says, "I do not know a Garrick."
I do believe this man is delirious. Perhaps we need to get him some food and water.
It is such a relief to see you all. Where are the others? Did they not make it?
How long have you been down here?
It has been some weeks, I fear. I thought that perhaps when we got separated after that Selenized Spinosaurus attacked, that I would never see you again. And then there was the saltworm. I never should have let that creature come between us. I knew it would be very difficult finding you again. I thought perhaps you even left, but here you are. Here you are. Garrick is reunited with his companions. You all look surprisingly well. Did you come back for me? Oh, merciful sisters, you came back for me. Yes.
Garrick, we are going to need you to draw us a map of this place and where you've seen these creatures.
I think Devin is just taking a look at like Garrick just to see like if there's like anything weird going about him, because like it's pretty easy to like fool people, like to think that they are seeing what they're seeing in case like there's any sort of magical resonance that way, because like Nevin knows how to like appear to be as dead and like spell people's doom. So
Nevin, when Garrick first entered the camp, you didn't recognize him. You'd never even heard the name. You certainly hadn't seen the man. But as you sit here and ponder Garrick, you realize now that, oh yeah, you do have a memory of Garrick. Share it with us, please.
Oh God, Garrick. It's been a few years since Nevin has last seen Garrick. it wasn't the most pleasant experiences because, like, well, Garrick's a very nice and noble type of guy, and he found out about one of Nevin's many, many schemes on how to get rich quick, and was trying to convince Nevin to like let it go. However, Nevin was trying to escape sort of a rascally, let's say, Kingsguard at that point. So Devin decided, well, yeah, Garrick makes would make an excellent obstacle for the Kingsguard, and I think like he just like may have pushed Garrick off the roof towards like a patrol of Kingsguard. We're not gonna focus on that, as Nevin like was going to go to Garrick, but stands in his tracks, quite stern, trying to not let it reveal that he does recognize Garrick.
Basso, you might notice Nevin's sudden recognition. What do you do?
I'm gonna give Nevin a bit of a side eye, but I'm going to continue playing along with Garrick's delusion because I want this map.
He says, I'm so happy to see you all. I'm so pleased that you came back for me. I can't begin to tell you. As I walked through these tunnels, through this place, I never thought, well, I thought this was going to be my grave, but now I can see a light at the end of the tunnel, as it were.
I would actually like to take this moment to use one of my hunt tokens and find something, cool.
I think as you he actually he does have some parchment, and he begins like scrawling with charcoal what he's like, yes, well, of course, we originally came here searching for the Temple of Legend. I did not find that, I fear, but I do know of a few places we should avoid. And he begins like scratching some things down. And as he's doing this, Basso, you suddenly have a memory of Garrick too. What is it?
I think it comes from watching his hands on the parchment. I've seen these hands before. And I think the last time I saw them, I had sharp teeth, multiple layers of teeth, and I was biting into one of the hands. And I see that there is, in fact, a scar on his hand with multiple rows of teeth.
He might notice you looking at his hand, and he says, ah, that brings back memories, doesn't it?
Strange that I did not remember before.
Well, we have all lived long and complicated and fraught lives, haven't we? Spending our time in dark places, crawling around in the forgotten places of the world. Really, all we have is each other. Don't you find?
I look at Nevin.
Nevin is trying not to cringe at this. When he says we have is each other. Um, yes, Garrick. I suppose that is somewhat true. I think Nevin will start to get a little bit closer to Garrick. How did you manage to survive for so long separated?
Eliseo, you've been tracking Fergus and Cat Eater.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the ritual is really interesting because you have to put on a mask, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think, well, tell me about the mask. Like, what does that look like? Is it something you always
Yeah.
have on you, or is it something you make each time?
Yeah, I really like the wording because it technically says you have to cover your face and not necessarily wear a mask. Because I already have like the oxen like
Hmm.
face helmet, whatever it is. I think we would have originally just seen like Eliseo get up without a word, start in one direction, and he would have like scraped salt from the walls, and then like one of the like thorns like pierced his hand to mix it with blood, and then he's just like sort of covering that mask in this mixture of blood and salt as we kind of see it like start to eat into the bone almost. And then we kind of see him like flicker. Like I mean like he's still physically there. He just can't be perceived by most people anymore. But I think yeah, he just like sort of covers that face, that skull as he starts walking.
I think that like the viscerality of that, I think that's where your ruin comes from because your ruin is going up because you roll a 4. And I think that maybe yeah, like the power of the mask is actually like fusing with you in some way, right?
Mhm.
Um, but it works, and you follow them for a time. You're not always able to keep up with them close enough to hear every part of their conversation, but you do hear some of it though. For instance, Cat Eater says, I've actually grown to quite like them. Like them? That's not like you, Cat Eater. I can't help myself. Well, just remember, we need them to serve their purpose. It won't do us any good to get emotionally attached. Emotions. What an interesting concept. I think perhaps you have been riding along with these creatures for too long if you have already started to articulate the strange mental vibrations that coil out from their hearts. Don't be so serious, Cat Eater. Understanding their emotions is why we are able to walk amongst them more easily. Nevertheless, we must remember, as you say, we must remember the mission. And then a little later, you might overhear Cat Eater say, I think this is the place. I think this is the way that we need to lead them. They'll never get into the temple without the sword of the promised princess. We will never get into the temple unless they bear the sword. But we have to get the sword. And then a little later, on their way back, Fergus says, What do you know of the creature that guards the sword? Little and less. It mostly sleeps within the tar pit. Do you think it will be any trouble taking the sword? One or two among them is clever enough to do it, I think. It will be tricky explaining away why we can't help with that task. Yes. As long as they can do it without rousing the Guardian, all will be well. And then they eventually get back to camp. Fergus says, We have done it! We've found the way! Well, Cat Eater here has found the way. Hello, who is this? To Garrick. Garrick says, you are here! How splendid! How wonderful! We are nearly all united. This is truly remarkable. And you all came back for me. Eliseo, you don't know who the fuck this person is. But Fergus will say, Where is Eliseo? And Garrick says, Yes, Eliseo, the last of our party. Where is he?
Well, I think actually I would like to stay back for just a second And like I think I would have sort of done this as I was listening to these conversations, but especially when they're like, this is how we need to lead them, I would like to like survey like what this place is and kind of how I might use it against them if I need to.
Okay, you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
go ahead and just make a hunt roll
Yeah.
and I'll tell you what you learn.
Do I have any skills? Can I use my skill of destruction to see like basically where could I
Oh,
bring
sure.
this
Yeah.
place down
Yeah,
on
yeah.
them if I
Yeah.
need to? Okay.
What'd you get?
Snake eyes.
Oh no, not snake eyes.
Wait, can I re-roll
Ooh.
that if I add a dark die?
For a hunt roll, no.
No,
No,
you
you're
can't,
stuck.
can you?
You're stuck.
Okay, well.
We'll come back to that in a moment. But let's go back to camp though for now. Nevin, Lieselot is not very talkative, but she is on guard about this Garrett character. And she leans forward to you and she says, "What do you really know about this person?"
At best,
Are they
I've
trustworthy?
as far as you could throw them, but that's the thing. Garrick really doesn't seem to be the type to become a treasure hunter. He's just a bit too nice for that sort of line of work.
You have another memory of Garrick. Perhaps a fond memory. Go ahead and share that with Lieselot.
Like, he's the type of person that if he were a little bit stronger, people would call him a hero. He's the type of person that I do like remember a time where he used to pick flowers for children because they were just very nice. And like I think that like gets like Nevin hackles up because like that's just something he isn't.
Lieselot says, "Oh yes, yes, I remember that as well. The flowers. Right." Fergus, meanwhile, is like, "Do I know you, friend? Do we know each other?" And Garrick says, "Yes, it is I, Garrick." And he says, "Garrick! Yes! How could I forget the man who rescued me from the prison, from the black cells? I owe you my life. Of course, that's why we've come back for you." Vaso, what are you doing right now?
I think I'm just gonna start looking at this map. I don't understand this Garrick situation, but I do know that he has provided us with a map, so I'm going to take a look at it because I want to see the direction that Fergus and Cat Eater just came from on the map to see. Okay, if we're gonna go down that way, what do we expect?
Make the hunt roll. You can use the map as the justification for the second die.
I get a token, but I encounter something terrible because I got a 5.
A 5. Okay, it's not bad. Encounter something terrible. Get your token. Uh, you see now the map he's been drawing?
Oh.
All it is, all it is he's just been drawing like skulls and like weird symbols and like scratches. There's like no map here. It's like the equivalent of all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
I'm going to take the parchment and the charcoal from him.
He says, "I hope you find that helpful." And indeed, you have a memory of Garrick where he was really helpful once. What is it?
It's the same, around the same event as when I remember fighting him. I remember, and I feel like there is a scar on my shoulder that sort of twinges with this memory. I remember him driving a sword deep into my shoulder.
How is that helpful?
Well, in that current state of my state of being, I was very much longing to go out in a flame of a blaze of glory, worthy of my former stature, I suppose one could say.
Intrigue, intriguing. Let's talk about your drive. Your drive is to hire Tamarev, the flesh crafter, to transform you. What does that mean?
I wasn't always Bazo as you see me now. At one point, I was a god, an old being that stood well above the canopy of trees in this land and could do anything. That changed. I became a beast, something small and nasty. I became what people called the Ruktifer, this massive beast, this brute with powerful limbs and multiple sharp antlers and claws and teeth in rows. My brain, everything I thought everything was simpler then, but I always longed to become what I once was. And only Tamarev the Flesh Crafter can make me back to what I used to be.
Fantastic, thank you. Eliseo, you are looking around, trying to figure out what is specific about this place that is so interesting to Fergus and Cat Eater. And that's when you realize you have stumbled into a mass of sticky white threads grabbing you. Well, they're not actively grabbing you, but like you're stuck in them. And then you hear from the shadows above, "Behold, the widow of the rift. She greets thee." There's something up there. You are stuck in these webs. What do you do?
Oh goodness. Yeah, I try to get out of the webs. I think I would like to, if I'm sort of like stumble in them, I'm going to try and basically use like all of my weight to like let them rip open so I can try to get out before it
Mhm.
finds me.
Grab the risk roll, please.
Yes. So what could go wrong?
You are entangled in the webs, and you will be perhaps feasted upon by whatever's in the shadows.
Yeah, I think your struggles pull on the webs
Make it worse.
and make it worse. Yeah. Gets to you
Yeah.
faster.
I think it's just to further tie up before you truly die, you'll be uh cocooned. So we're probably just not gonna find your body.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Take a light die if a task is something you are skilled at. Strength. We're just we're just going.
Raw
This is
strength.
not the time to be delicate. Take a light die for accepting a devil's bargain. I would love to hear some.
No matter what, on the other side of the Widow of the Rift, whatever the hell that is, you see stuck up in the higher webs a fabulous treasure.
Okay, that's pretty good.
No matter what your component for your mask ritual, you will lose it in the web, therefore losing access for the mask until you find a replacement.
No matter what, spider webs get caught up in your antlers, and you can't take them off. Like, you can't get the spider webs off your antlers. They'll be with you for the rest of life.
Oh,
I mean, that just makes me cooler. So I like seeing the treasure, having the temptation. So I'll take that one. And then
Fantastic.
take it dark die if you are risking mind or body. I feel like I am.
You are, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's 2 light, 1 dark. Okay. That's snake eyes, but also a 6. So it's a 6 light.
Oh, it's a 6 light too. Wow, that's good.
We did it.
That's great. You have control of the narrative. I will tell you what you see, though, before you escape fully.
Mhm.
The Widow of the Rift is an enormous spider slash crab type thing, arachnid. Long, slender, almost elegant legs dangling above. It's enormous. Like you are, well, I'll show you a picture in a bit, but basically the scale is like you are the size of like her mouth and could easily be gulped by it. I am going to clip this picture though because I think it's pretty incredible from the module, just to give you a sense of the scale here. You'll want to direct your attention to the bottom of the picture, please. You all see it? And that's all well and good. The magic that has been like keeping you hidden up until this point is starting to wear off, and that's actually partially what's gotten the widow's attention. You have this like strange shimmer about you, which is casting off light into the cavern. And you can see the widow in her fullness. She's enormous. What you thought was just inky black cave ceiling is just her body as it descends. But you can see high up in the webs another glitter, another glimmer. There is a chest cracked open slightly, and quite a lot of gems and gold and silver have spilled out of it and have caught in the web, creating almost like this interesting glimmering canopy overhead. And the chest is still filled with treasure. This is an incredible amount of money. But please describe your escape.
Yeah, I think it's fairly straightforward. I think sort of as I'm seeing like what you're describing, I'm just throwing my whole body weight, like this enormous body, this armor, like it's so heavy, and I'm just throwing it back. And as strong as these webs are, it's gravity working against it fully. And and yeah, I'm just like fully like it's not elegant. It's very much a, spur of the moment thing. We hear like the clatter of all that armor of those antlers like hitting, like those horns hitting the ground as I'm just falling, ripped apart, like the webs ripped away from me, and I'm just like kind of like scuttling like crab style,
Yeah.
just going out, just trying to hide from this thing.
You are anything but uh you are anything but like hidden at this point. You are not able to move through the caverns surreptitiously right now because of the way the magic is currently kind of doing its thing, sort of burning hot on you, as it were. You need to get back to camp for safety. You're not too far, fortunately, and you can hear as you get closer. There seems to be like a celebration going on at the sanctuary, as everyone is like, Garrick, Garrick, we're so happy to see you. Let's take a 5-minute break. Well, there's a little reunion happening at camp, Alicio. Indeed, Garrick at one point, he's like getting some food into himself, right? Because he's really hungry. And he says to you, Nevin, Nevin, do you remember the time when we managed to break into the Merchant Lord of Amberet's private vault? And indeed you do, Nevin. Go ahead and tell us about that. Regale us with the story.
I do recall that. It was quite a good score. I think, if I recall correctly, I think that particular lord is still particularly angry about what you did.
Well, he's not going to be able to exercise that anger unless he can get his hands on me. And, well, I'd like to see him try to get down here, eh?
Probably. It seems just very, very interesting that you know all of us, even though I've only met a few of these compatriots less than 2 weeks ago.
Well, there's no reason in or rhyme in dwelling on such things, Nevin. Such eccentricities of memory, the vicissitudes of memory, if you will. Shouldn't let it trouble you. The important thing is that we're all here again. Ah, and there is Alicio, glowing like witch fire, just as I remember.
Yeah.
Alicio, you do not know this person.
Yeah, I'm watching all of this, and I'm still kind of shaken by seeing that thing.
I know you just escaped this like
just-
Titanic spider. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like very much like, whoo, okay. And I just sort of like stay a little bit away from all of them, and like in a casual, like a subtly threatening way, I'm just like resting my hand on my giant axe as I'm sort of observing everyone.
And he says to Fergus, Fergus, do you remember? Do you remember when we slew that monstrous wolf in the forest just outside of Cormoran's Wheel? And Fergus says, for a moment, he ponders it and says, yes, I do recall it, Garrick. And he begins to tell the story of killing this monstrous wolf, beheading it, and that he still has the pelt. He still has the pelt in his rooms in Vorduren. Like, Basso, what are you doing during all this?
Trying to remember the moment that I met Garrick.
Oh, you do.
Not
Tell us
just-
about it.
Not just like snatches of memories. And I think I only remember it vaguely. I think it might have been back when I was a god. And I don't remember that very well. And he was scraggly and haggard, just like he is now. And he was so excited because he had found something spectacular, a spectacular treasure of some kind. And I don't know what it is because my memories of being a god are so... When you're in a mortal body, you cannot fathom what it's like to be immortal.
It's beyond mortal comprehension, I assume. The evening, or whatever time it is, because you don't know, you're in a cave, begins to wind down. Fergus says, we should get a few hours of sleep. Katida and I have found what we believe is the right way to go, or at least the general direction of perhaps where the temple might be. We located some refuse from a company of explorers who might have come before us. Maybe they knew the way to go. In any case, it's the best lead we've got. And Lieselot says, I shall take the first watch. Perhaps someone would like to join me.
Alicia will just, before anyone can say anything, just kind of like drop his axe as if like in a silent, like, I mean, he's not sleeping. He saw that thing, man.
And also,
He's
you have these
not,
suspicions
yeah,
about Fergus and Cat Eater. There's this
exactly.
weird
Just,
guy at camp. There's a lot going on, right?
yeah, just like this thud of an axe, like, I'm gonna keep the watch with you.
Nevin, you look like you were going to speak.
Yeah, I think just generally, I think Nevin is a little bit unnerved. So, like, he's not going to be sleeping for a little while because, well, he has plans, schemes.
Before I turn in, I want to go and look at that jellyfish corpse again and see if I can get anything good from it with my hunt tokens.
Oh, with your hunt tokens, sure.
Yeah,
Yep.
I got 3 hunt tokens, and I'm scared.
You
of
can
having
spend a
that many.
token to take a good
Yeah.
sample. Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm just really scared of losing all my tokens.
I'm not going to put a set goal on. This is just a few hours of rest. It's not even that long. Just enough to kind of catch your breath and recuperate a little bit. Garrick says, I'm so moved, friends, that you came back for me. I want you to know that. My body is nourished and filled not only by this soup and this food, this bread, but also by remembering our times together. And he sits down to get some sleep. Is everyone else going to sleep or resting? Sounds like Nevin and Eliseo are not. Vaso, are you? Very good.
I'm going to try and get some rest, yeah.
Yeah, you can. Lieselot. So it's really just you and Eliseo and Nevin. Sounds like you're not like you're pretending to be asleep. Maybe is that the idea?
I'm not going to sleep, like, because like I do wish to like have a conversation with Eliseo and Lisa a lot before I do
Okay.
anything, because like it's not going to be nice.
The three of you can be around the campfire then. Lieselot says, I hope we're able to find the temple soon. I don't like being down here.
Seems it's still a way off.
Say that again, Jazzy. You were kind of quiet.
It's that he will say it seems like that's still a way off to get to the temple.
Yes. Well, I suppose any quest worth doing is one that is long and difficult. Long and hard.
Any quest we're doing is a quest that pays.
I'm still very, very suspicious of this Garrett. Isn't
Yes,
it
who is
strange?
that?
Oh, Eliseo, you actually do remember who he is now. Please share us your memory of Garrick.
Okay. Yeah, I remember we see like just a brief and like violent shot of my face is like covered with hands as dozens of people are holding me down. I am struggling and fighting, but even with my strength, I cannot defeat them all. They are holding, like they are forcing my jaw open. I am trying to bite them. I bite off some fingers, but again, just like hands keep coming in my mouth, keep forcing it open. And then I hear Garrick's voice saying, "No more messages." And a knife comes in, rips out my tongue, and just cuts it out.
That's quite a memory. Maybe we pick up the scene with you having that memory.
Yeah, I think I say that. And then white knuckles around the axe. Everything just goes like, like I'm holding it so tight. Everything just goes quiet and murderous as I just do that full like brooding bit where I go in myself and just like throw him one look. that's just murderous intent, but I don't say anything.
But to be clear, did you tell Lieselot and Nevin the story?
Um, that's a good question. I don't think I would.
Okay.
No. Yeah, I think I just say like, "Who is that?" And then you sort of see like that recognition, right? As it
Mm.
goes, like very
So to be clear, your memory is that he cut your tongue out?
yes.
Fantastic.
I such a coincidence that we all seem to know him, and he keeps on insisting that we came back for him when that is very, very false.
Well, we did come back for him, Lieselot
No.
says. At least in part. Don't you remember? That was part of our agreement back at the pub, that we would also look for our fallen companion Garrick. We thought we
Yes.
were going to retrieve his body so that it could be properly buried. And happily, he is here, alive.
I think Nevin's the type of person to like make sure like when agreements for treasure and whatnot are like written down, just so like so things are fair, because like Nevin's a little bit of a skeezy guy, and just like I think probably would hand out like other copies to his compatriots. I think I'm going to pull out our contract with these hirelings.
And yeah, and there's nothing there about Garrick and a fallen companion. And
Yeah.
Lieselot says, well, perhaps we just forgot to write that down, or perhaps we just considered it a sort of gentleman's agreement.
No, I do recall insisting that we get everything down because, well, I don't want to have anything under. Hmm.
What is it you are saying then?
I'm saying I don't think there's things that we can't trust here. I think that Nevin is going to get up. I recall trying. Why would you like me still? I did try to kill you, tried to get you captured over Garrett's sleeping form.
He snaps awake and says, oh, excuse me, I must go and relieve myself. I shall try to find a place away from camp. And he kind of just like pushes past you, Nevin, and walks out of camp to go to the bathroom.
Before he walks away, I think Nevin's gonna do probably cast a ritual of doom. I think because you can truly find out what a person is by what they fear in death. I think Nevin is going to just say, Garrick, one thing, but just before you go.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. I think for this ritual, I think Nevin pulls out like this sort of charm of bones and whatnot, sort of like a decrepit thing. It's really disgusting looking because that is the point. It is the point to invoke fear and whatnot. And well, if you cannot trust your own memories about a person, you could trust what you see in front of you, especially if you can make the other one scared.
Interesting. So I like this doom. You're going to fill him with a sense of impending doom in order to get him to truly speak his truth. Is that the idea?
Yeah.
I like it. You can even be preparing the ritual maybe like beforehand, and then as he gets up,
Yeah.
you kind of give him the totem.
Yeah.
Grab the risk roll. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm. What do we think we can go wrong?
I think that the spell is reflected on you, or the ritual is reflected on you, and you are caught up with a sense of impending doom.
I kind of set it up on purpose, but I think you are trying to scheme and be like clever. Alicio just stands up and chops his head off. Like he
Jesus
just
Christ.
interrupts and kills him before you like get anywhere, right? Because he's just got that memory, and maybe by like doing the spell, it's like not just him, like basically
You
you get
become the
interrupted.
impending doom.
Yeah, basically, you literally
Yeah.
called something upon him. It's me. I'm gonna kill him.
That's good. Any extra thoughts, or are we good? You want to keep going?
Yeah, I think we're good. Skills. Um, I would say trickery because like I'm trying to catch him unawares, but from literally just like
I
waking
like
up
it. Yeah,
from
I'll
his
take it.
sleep.
Yeah.
Devil's bargains.
Mm.
I mean, I feel like no matter what, he lashes out, either violently or like runs away. But like, it's not just like, oh, here's your information, do with it what you
Yeah,
want,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
It's more
Like,
violent
yeah,
than that. Yeah, more
yeah.
disruptive than that.
Hmm.
I like that. I'm gonna say, no matter what, you draw like you draw the attention of something unwanted with the magic.
Yeah, I don't got anything that's
Damn.
those were both really good.
It's probably going to be a violent reaction, and I think that it would give an excuse for Alicia to just like kill this guy after I get what I want.
Indeed. That is 2 light
Too
and then
light.
1 dark. Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see what you got.
5 lights.
5 light. Let me tell you the complication. You can decide whether you want to reroll. The complication is you're going to learn what motivates him, such as it is, but he is going to run away and escape, or you'll have to chase after him for a time to get to caught up to like you won't be able to like. Basically, he's going to run away, and you're going to have to deal with that.
Mhm.
If you care, you might just let him go. I'll let you decide. But
I do want to reroll.
okay,
Yeah, so 2 light,
2 light, 2 dark.
We're doing hot folks today. That's 6 lights.
6 light, very good. Yeah, you. Yeah, this is gonna work. You have control of the narration, but I need to be able to say what it is that he's
Mhm.
scared of. So I think this is the way we're gonna handle this. You can describe how you like secure him if you decide to.
Mhm.
But basically, when you show him the totem and thereby like cause the magic to start working on him, he looks at the totem and he says, "Oh my gosh." Or no, he doesn't say that. That's stupid. "Oh my word. Dear sisters. No, this can't be. I need the memories. I need the memories to live. What will become of me if they do not speak of me? Am I anything at all if they do not say what they recall? Is this just the inevitable fall of my existence? I will be nothing if the..." And he looks at you, Nevin, and says, "Tell me, Nevin. Tell me what you remember about that time. That time that we spent in that pub. The Swan, you remember? The Swan something, the Golden Swan. Remember the dance? Remember the musicians? You have to tell me, Nevin. You have to tell me right away."
No, no, I don't think there was ever such a time. I, I don't recall.
He backs up and he looks like he's getting ready to run. What do you do?
Uh, I think I give like Alicio a pointed look and like like draw like a line across my own throat, implying that Alicio should kill this guy.
Eliseo, what do you do?
Yeah, I think it calmed him down a little bit that it seems like these memories might not be real, but still weird, creepy. Yeah, gets up, the axe swings up, and I'm gonna try and just kill him.
Basso, you're awake now too, by the way. Everybody's awake at this point.
Mhm.
Uh, you can just do it. Just describe what you do.
Alright, yeah. I think he kind of, sees me coming with the axe, tries to get away. And there's just it swings through the air and you can still feel like how heavy it is even when it's flying. And it's like, the Green Knight, the A24 movie, it's just the head clean
Yeah.
off, goes rolling.
I'll take it from there. The head goes clean off, except it doesn't spin and roll with any particular elegance. It's more like if you hacked off the end of a sack filled with water. The head just flops and splatters down to the ground. Blood spatters, the eyeballs pop out. There's no skull inside the sheath of flesh that was Garrick's head. The body is still standing, pawing hands fruitlessly where the head used to be, blood dribbling out. Basso, what are you doing right now?
Hang on, completely horrified because this is awful. I think I'm going to try and kick the body over.
I think Fergus is right in front of you, and he just like stabs it with his blade, and just a gout of blood sprays all over you, Basso. It was almost like a high pressure, like just
Like a
yeah, like it bursts on you, and the skin just sloughs down to the ground, just sloughs away into a big pool of blood, which looks black in this bluish light. And there's a skeleton, furtive, curled on the ground. It unfurls, it rises. There's still meat and blood sticking to it. It's positively black with blood as it unfurls. Remember me. The skeleton stands to its full height, covered in blood and meat. And your closest, Basso. It jumps toward you. It flies at you, trying to wrap its bloody, bony hands around your neck. You're in combat with it, Basso. Tell me how you're vulnerable.
I'm vulnerable because I don't have any combat equipment.
Oh,
I don't have a
no.
weapon right now.
That
My
is
jagged
not
sawtooth
good.
blade is crossed out. I do have an axe in my backpack. It's not a weapon. It's just an axe.
Roll the weak point. You
Can I
still
even
you
be in
still
combat if
you
I
still
don't
roll
have
you
a
still
weapon?
roll the combat in this instance, but you can't kill it basically
Yeah. 5.
because it's on you. You don't have the ability to withdraw. But everybody else is here too. So who else is going to be in the combat?
Absolutely.
Definitely, I think Nevin and Ferguson are going to join the combat.
Okay. I'll get a weak point going for them. Ferguson is just standing there in shock. That's how he's vulnerable.
Yeah, I think Nevin is. I think just because like we're fighting a slightly meaty skeleton, like I don't think a dagger's going to do much. Better than your fists, though, but
Yeah,
it's still a dagger.
that's a very good point. Go ahead and roll your weak point.
Mhm. Oh, 4.
For
Ferguson's is 6.
okay, so we got two both. That's two. Yeah. Fergus is 6. 6, 5, and 4 so far. Alicia, are you joining the combat?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I mean, this is a skeleton. I'm fully armored. I think it's also more, I think that memory really got to me.
Mhm.
And I'm just angry to the point of no self-preservation is how I'm vulnerable, right?
Fantastic. It's only an endurance 7, so it's not even a hard fight. But
Also for love repeat.
let's go ahead and just get some dice on the table. So that's basically 4 combat. Whoever wants to roll it. Basso, why don't you go ahead and roll?
Oh, great. All right, let's do it. Combat 4. A 1, a 1, a 6, and a 4.
The 6 and the 4 are hits on whoever has a 6 and a 4 weak point, but you do destroy the thing. So Basso, you're mostly just there flailing around while it attacks you.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
I think I am trying to pull out my sawtooth blade that I normally would have, but I don't have it right now. I am mad. I don't remember what happened to it, but I think I do manage to pull out the little axe, this little hatchet that I have, but I'm just not at any sort of. I don't have any leverage over this thing. It is just bones, and it is all over me like a child would, clawing everywhere, and I'm smacking at it, but nothing's happening.
I think Fergus like tries to. He's like stabbing his blade into the ribs, trying to find like if there's a heart to stab, but there's nothing there. It's just rib cage and blood. Uh, keep going. Keep going, Nevin.
I think just because like there is like a need for ruin increases for all these hits, I think the reason why that the like the skin was so sacky and like sort of waxen, I imagine on the inside is because the sort of blood and ichor has sort of an acidic effect, and it being sprayed upon people, like if you do not get it off of you quickly enough, it starts to eat at your own skin.
Nice.
uh
I love it.
I think like Nevin is like sort of like as like Fergus is like trying to stab at the heart. I think like Nevin, instead of like taking the dagger's like sharp blade, takes its pommel and trying to like knock like at like various bones and joints to just try to disassemble the skeleton.
Mhm. You can finish it off, Alicia.
Yeah, everyone is kind of like trying. I just kind of like thunder towards it, like slow, ominous, violin music starts playing. I'm walking towards it. I just grab it. I get like, hands in the ribs, hands around the skull, and it's like trying to claw at my face. It gets like bony fingers in my mouth. I bite of the fingers and I just rip it apart, throw it on the floor. Heavy metal boot just crunches the ribs.
But of course, you get burns because you're grabbing it directly, right? Yeah. Everybody who took a hit also takes a burns condition as well. But it is destroyed. Before we leave camp, we have to do some bookkeeping here, particularly connected to the bestiary. You have encountered a number of creatures at this point, and so we need to at least name them, if nothing else. And you all should probably take the time at some point to fill in the bestiary with some details as well. But so far, you have run into these strange bats that take some of your fate in exchange for helping you out in some way. In this case, guiding you through the caves. And I think the bats are probably like collectively described as the entire flock, right? It's not just an individual bat; it's like the whole thing. So they need a name. You'll need the name of these peaceful jellyfish in the cave. You will need a name for, well, we already have a name for the spider. It's called the Widow of the Rift, so you don't need to name that one. But you might want to go ahead and note it in your bestiary in case you have to face it again. And you'll also need to name whatever the fuck Garrick was. This blood skeleton thing that was trying to collect your memories. or whatever. So yeah, that's the deal there. So be thinking of some names. As you come up with names as we play, just say so and note them in the bestiary, but say them on the call so that everybody watching can see what we're calling things. And the rest of the encampment will go quote unquote fine. I'm not sure how it maybe doesn't feel as sanctuary as it once did. I do think you might find something useful among the remains of Garrick, though. So, Alicia, if you want to roll a gold 7, we'll see if you do.
Sure, let's try this. Gold. Yeah, sounds about right.
Oh,
We got absolutely nothing.
It's just blood and
Fuck
bone,
you.
blood, bone, and flesh. That's all it is. Nothing useful.
Yep, just trauma, but blood and flesh. Let's go.
I know
Yeah.
we don't get anything useful because of the gold roll, but if I use one of my tokens to see if maybe Garrick had a weapon on him, I
Sure.
would like to be able
Yep.
to fight.
Yeah, you can do
another
that.
time.
Yeah.
I'd like to steal his weapon.
Yeah, I like that. You can tell me what the weapon is and spend the token for that.
He didn't seem like he was particularly fighty, so I think it was sort of just a rusted sword.
Okay, yeah. And also, he theoretically been down here for a long time, so
Yeah.
yeah.
So I don't think it's like the best weapon, but it's
Yeah.
better than nothing.
Fair enough. Fantastic. Let's keep going. Fast forward a little bit. Everyone's packed up, ready to go. Get the hell out of here. Cat Eater and Fergus believe they've found the way that we need to go. And so Cat Eater, as ever, is leading the way. I assume there's no objections.
no objections. Question though, our strange memories about Garrick, have they gone away?
Yes, you realize now they were false. You might still have them, but you know they're false. So
Okay. In terms of for noting from chat, fate bats, for the weird bats.
well, Fate Pat's very good. Like that.
Fruit bat.
The Fate Belfry.
Also cute. Ooh, I like
That'd be
that.
pretty good, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
You go for a little while. Eliseo, they are taking you the way that they that they scouted out. And the hirelings at least are all a little quiet. I think everyone's a little shaken by what just transpired, right? And also you are leaving the notional safety of the heretofore unnamed floating jellyfish warren. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Is
everyone's
there a way I could talk to either Basso or Nevin without them overhearing me?
Oh
Or
sure,
are we like,
yeah.
you know?
No, you frequently peel off and spread out from time to time. Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah. I think I'd like to split off with Basso for a moment.
Have
And
that
I
scene.
think, as we're sort of away, I think Eliseo just, without maybe prodding at something to see how sturdy it is or whatever, without even looking up, says, "Do you actually trust them?"
Who, Nevin? Not even a
No.
little.
The ones you hired.
Oh. I trust them to try not to get themselves killed.
They might get us killed, though.
Why do you suppose that?
They're planning on it. They need us until a certain point. And then I think they don't anymore.
What do they need us for?
A sword to get into the temple.
And do you believe they'll turn on us once we get it?
Of course. Gold needs to be split. The fewer people alive, fewer ways to split it.
Here, I will interject with just something that you would have noticed in camp over all this time. Cassian and the scholar Drathamar, they've landed on something in Drathamar's texts, which they're really excited about, which is that that there's a magical barrier around the temple, and the only way to get through the barrier is to use this magical sword to get through the barrier. And Drathamar in particular is trying to make sure you all understand that. We cannot get into the temple without the sword. So this lines up a little bit with what Alicio overheard, right?
So, do you think that this was not the first time they've heard about the sword? They
I
knew
don't
about
think
it
so.
before.
They made it clear that they needed a sword to get into the temple, but that they did not wish to carry it. So why do we need to do that for them? There must be a risk involved then.
Finding out surreptitious information seems like a job for our sneaky colleague.
Yes, but that would
Perhaps.
require me to trust them.
You have an overarching set goal, which is to reach the next sanctuary. You eventually reach a something of a not a crossroads, but it's a decision point. Cat Eater is waiting for you there. He says, "And here now, I must present you with a choice. We can continue going through these tunnels. I believe very strongly we are headed in the right direction. I have found enough leavings of prior explorers that have convinced me this is the right way. Going through the tunnels is probably the safest way, though you should absolutely interpret safest to be quite relative down here. But I know for certain the shortest way is to not go through the tunnels, and instead to go down there." And he points down a couple of switchbacks that you're overlooking. What appears to be, in the torchlight, what appears to be a vast underground lake. Do not let your eyes deceive you. The stillness of those lake waters is not because there is no wind stirring them. It's because it's not water at all. It is a hard crust of salt. That in and of itself would be of no great import, except that the hard crust of salt is the only thing protecting you from falling into the lake of acid directly beneath it. The choice is yours, employers of ours. Do we take the long way, or do we take the short way? The short way is the lake of acid, walking over the salt crust.
I do not know if the salt crust will take the weight of myself, Alicio, and Liselot.
Fergus says, "Too bad Garrick's not with us still. There wasn't much of him at the end, was there?"
Yes, I would prefer us not to split up, even though some of us could cross the salt
Lieselot says,
crust.
"Perhaps if I take off my armor and slide the pieces across, that would reduce my weight. We could all do that."
Like crossing a frozen river.
Yes, but in this case it is salt.
Over acid.
An
Cat
important
Eater,
detail.
how much time do you think we would save taking the shortcut?
I suspect taking the lake. Its advantage is in its directness, Basso. The tunnels might lead us forward and backward, wrapping around. It could add miles to the journey to go the same amount, the same distance. The lake is direct. And I feel very confident that our quarry lies on the other side of the lake.
I suppose then the lake it is. Are there any objections?
The hirelings will do
Just-
whatever you all agree to.
Mhm.
Just noting that it is made of acid. If someone ends up into the lake, they will die.
There's just the heavy clang of like a studded gauntlet as I'm taking off my armor.
Lieselot's already like taking off her the heavier pieces, right?
I just really like the idea of us all basically naked scuttling across this
This
salt
like
lake.
salt
It's the
crusted
worst
lake.
idea.
While there's like a giant spider somewhere out there,
Right.
acid underneath us. Yeah, great idea.
Good idea.
Let's take up all
What
our
about-
protective layers.
What about that spider in the treasure, Alicio? Have you brought that up yet? Are you keeping
Oh.
that to yourself?
I'm keeping it to myself, but have we passed that? Are we?
No, you're actually at the point right now where if you wanted to go do that to follow up on it, you could. If you get you don't want to get on the other side of the lake because then you're kind of stuck on the other side of the lake. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do want to try and get that, but I don't want to, because then I have to share.
well, it's going to take some
No.
time for everybody to prepare to make the crossing. The crossing of the lake is another set goal. You'll still have the overall set goal of reaching sanctuary, but you'll have a new set goal of crossing the lake. So we'll take a 5-minute break while you all think about your plans here and what's going to happen.
Oh, before we do really quick,
Yeah.
we've come up with some more names for the
Oh,
bestiary.
good. Yeah. What do we got?
Jazzy came up with the really brilliant one for Garrick, Memento Mori.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, it's
It's
really
very
good.
good.
Or what about
Uh,
like memento, like something mort, like dead, right?
Oh, yes.
That'd be pretty good. Yeah.
that's good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. This is why collaboration is always great.
Mhm.
And then we've figured out that the jellyfish are called floating dreams, and their home is the tranquil coral.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Fantastic. Let's take a 5-minute break. Be thinking about your next moves here. This is your last chance to follow up on the spider thing, Alicio. And once you're out on that lake, you'll be under the auspices of the new set goal. You can always spend 3 tokens. Just throwing that out there as a reminder. But I'll see you on 5. So, Alicio, while everyone is getting ready to make this very treacherous crawl across the salt lake, you do have a little bit of time if you want to slip off and go try to get that treasure, or you can invite some of your companions to help you. I'll leave that up to you.
That would be the smart thing to do.
What is your
but-
intention? Are you going to fight it? Are you going to sneak past it? What are you going to do here?
Okay, I have a crazy idea.
Okay, we love crazy ideas.
So
The risk
I
roll can
have-
handle it all.
Exactly. So my other ritual is medium. Surface thoughts of nearby creatures enter and overwhelm a target. If that creature can be myself, I want to do it on the spider so they kind of like rush away and like knock the treasure over. So they're like getting it for me.
Oh, they're like thrashing around or something.
Yeah, they're
And-
thrashing
and
around.
they
The
not.
treasure
Oh,
falls,
that's.
and I can just grab it.
Oh,
is
that's
my
great.
intent.
That's a great plan. I'm super into this plan. I think it's really, really good. I will tell you that I'm going to probably invoke whatever conditions you have to make this extra hard.
Mhm.
But if you're okay with that, by all means, grab the risk roll.
Sure. Yeah, let's go. I've been rolling so well. What could go wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah, what do we think could go wrong here?
You get caught by the spider. I mean, come on. Is there anything else? I mean,
Once again, you separated off from the main group. So, like, What are
No one
you
knows what
doing?
happened to
You're-
you.
Yeah.
I just leave sometimes.
And you don't come back this time.
Oh, that's just Eliseo. Whatever. Let's move on.
Uh,
Yeah, take a light die if I have any. I have distraction, which
oh, I'm
I
into
feel
it.
like,
I think it works.
yeah.
Yeah.
Take a light die for accepting a devil's bargain. I would love to hear some.
Um,
No matter what, the spider thing, the Widow of the Rifts, now has a vendetta against you for stealing
oh,
its thing.
I love that. You've
Oh,
made an enemy of the Widow of the Rift.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
no.
amazing. She's like fucking
Uh,
Smog. Like she wants her fucking treasure
Mhm.
back. Yeah.
um, no matter what, the treasure is cursed.
That's a terrible devil's bargain. I would never take that devil's bargain.
I love the idea that the spider wants my ass. I absolutely adore the idea of being mortal and the nemesis of this god-like spider. Absolutely
Mhm.
love it. I will
Uh,
take that.
you have to take a die because of the ritual, and
Yep.
I'm giving you an extra dark die because of the the arcane shimmer. I think you are more noticeable
Absolutely.
in the beginning than you realize. So this is a 2 light, 2 dark. Let's see what you got.
Okay, it's the 5 dark, so my ruin does go up by 1.
And you have to stop, and there is a complication.
Yep.
The complication, the complication is kind of a sucky one, but it is what it is. It is going to work, but the chest falls down and shit just goes flying everywhere. And you have to either just grab a smaller amount and get the hell out of there, or you'll have to do another risk roll to collect it all.
I mean, at this point, in for a penny, right?
Exactly right. Yeah. But the narration is yours. Take it away. You describe what happens.
Yeah, I think what does this ritual look like? I think we see I sort of put the axe almost like a totem, like an anchor to the ground. The blades are like resting in the ground. I have my hands on it, and I just start like sort of very low, like this ambient almost hum, and it kind of starts to reverberate through the halls. And I think we hear like the skittering of all these creatures as I'm gathering their minds. And then in like one, like scare court, I look up at the spider and we just see it like start to trash around as like all of these different thoughts are suddenly in their head. Like I'm standing there super intimidating. These creatures are like, I don't like this. And now I'm sending all of that confusion and horror to the spider as it's up to the wither of the rift as she like starts trashing around and knocks over
The
all
treasure
the treasure.
falls and it just like spills out. I mean, and there's just like it is a lot. It's like coins and gems. You even see a couple of objects in there spilling everywhere. You can just grab some handfuls of it, or maybe one or two of the objects, and get the hell out of here. Or you can do another risk roll to collect it all, or to collect the corpus of
Mhm.
it anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, what do we think can go wrong, gang?
She
I mean,
just had.
I would like to point out you are currently at 5 ruin. I think that's
Yep,
worth pointing out.
yep.
This could be it.
But that means that getting a 6 is like only
It's
1
it's
in 6
six is harder.
chances.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, yeah.
Like this gives her time to get to her senses again so she can climb down and just eat you.
That's what it is. You're gonna have to combat her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fully. Um, yeah, I feel like the light side that I get here is my skill of persistence. I'm not backing down, but I absolutely should. Devil's bargains.
No matter what, there's one thing you have to leave behind, and it's a magic item.
Ooh, okay. Any other that we think?
Uh, God, oh God, this is this is another sucky devil's bargain. But no matter what, still gonna like continue to chase you and chase you all the way to us.
Oh. You bring the Widow of the Rift to camp or to where you're at the lakeside. That's horrible. These are two trash ass devil's bargains.
I got one. No matter
Amanda,
what,
save me.
something you get is something Lisa wants desperately.
Done.
Done.
That's the one.
I think because of the arcane shimmer, I'm going to put you at a dark die again too. So it wouldn't otherwise be a dark die because you're not in combat yet or anything.
Okay. Let's do this. Okay. I'm fine with that. It's a 5 light is the high.
Indeed. I'm going to just say you're not able to grab all the gems and coins, reducing it just ever so slightly, not too much. But give me the scene, how you get all of this stuff.
Yeah, I think as it sort of starts to fall, honestly, I feel like I want to make it clear that Eliseo, as cool as he might look, is not a good heroic guy. Like, this is a desperate scramble for money, right? Like, there is nothing heroic or dignified about it. This is like, I know I'm threatened, but look at the shinies. I am on my knees. I am stuffing it everywhere. Like, there is just, it's pathetic, honestly. And then as soon as I grab like the last bit and I hear like the scuttling above me, I'm scrambling up and I'm booking it back.
I love it. Are you going to count it in front of the others, or are you going to try to slip off to count it away from the group?
Oh yeah, away. I don't want to just be like, hi guys, look at all my bling.
If you're keeping it up to yourself and you take a moment to count it before you arrive back, I will tell you that you did pretty good, actually. It's a pretty good score. In just raw treasure, it's 5 gold. So you can note that. And there are 2 objects inside the chest that you got your hands on as well. The first of those objects, there is a glass bottle wrapped in bandages. There is an intense light filtering through the bandages. And if you kind of peer behind the bandages, you see that the glass bottle is filled with liquid light. And there is a cloak bundled up, made of leathery feathers. And so, by the time you get back, Eliseo, everyone's ready to go. We could just have the scene with Eliseo reappearing, I suppose.
Where have you been?
It's just no answer. I just start undoing my armor.
You should probably warn us before you just leave.
Does it really
Indeed.
matter where Eliseo's been?
I mean, I'm going to
Eliseo-
just point out, despite Eliseo's attempts to hide it, is a lot of treasure, and Eliseo's sacks are almost certainly like obviously full with stuff.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
like,
of like the breastplate, and there's this like oh shit moment where I realize like oh wait, hold up, didn't think
I
this
think
through.
I think like the only thing that like reason Nevin hasn't noticed yet is because like Nevin is currently like figuring out like probably with like Drathamar's help just like opening like rocks just see like hey,
testing the tension on the surface, right?
yeah, testing the
yeah.
tension on the surface like
Make a hunt roll.
ritualistically. Yeah. Could I use Drathamar's skill of rituals?
Sure. Yeah, you can have it. Yeah.
Because it's methodical.
Yeah.
Because I would like to make the first hunt roll of this game for myself.
Oh wow! Please do. Yeah.
A 6.
Nice. Take your token. Regretfully, you don't really learn anything. You got to get out there in the middle of it.
Yeah, I know that the salt on top of the lake can hold rocks.
Yes.
Oh.
Cat Eater begins just scuttling out across the salt crust. He moves very lightly. He might even be kind of light, being kind of reptilian. I don't know if they're light, but he is. And he says, "Well, I recommend we fan out so that we don't put too much weight in one place at one time."
Yeah, I take off all of my heavy armor, and I think I just sort of put it on top of my bag or a travel blanket or whatever, and tie it to myself so that I can drag it behind me.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm literally on my stomach,
yeah.
shuffling across as if this is ice.
Also, yeah, as pointed out in chat, Alicia's way heavier now.
Literally just realized.
I think you should take a condition burdened.
He's such a dumbass. This for us.
You have a burdened condition. You're at 5 ruin, but you do have a lot of treasure though. So, all right, let's just have a little bit of montage of everyone fanning out, crawling across the salt crust. Maybe the heat from the acid or the sight of the green acid kind of beneath the crust of salt. Everyone just narrate a little bit of the journey. I've already started with Cat Eater, who moves across it quite elegantly.
Azo is not quite as elegant, but I think, trying to keep low, trying to keep the surface area as expanded as possible, trying to also keep to the sides where the salt is thicker, not go out into the center, in order to make sure that there is no crashing through, trying to keep my head up so I'm not just a face into the salt, and trying to not lick my lips, not lick my lips. It's just going to make it worse.
Well, Nevin didn't really have to unburden himself as much as his compatriots who are wearing ridiculously heavy armor. He still did take off like from his pack a winter wolf pelts that he put on to this front side to like at least cover up like his leathers, so like if indeed the acid gets on him, like it'll go through like one layer rather than going through all the layers and just eating any
Yeah.
sort of defense he has. And he's just sort of carefully clambering pretty decently fast, as though this is just normal business, because you have to be quick, you have to be quiet, and you have to be able to scuttle very close to the ground sometimes.
I feel like Nevin and Cat Eater are really made for this. Elisa, what do you look like?
Yeah, got to Alicio, who is not made for this. I think even like having taken of that weight, and I think indeed, like as we said, like the armor is sort of like pushed to the other edge. I would have taken a treasure on me because I don't trust any of them not to take it. If I wouldn't. But yeah, I think we see like he is trying, but it's very clear that he's not used to this at all. And I think that we do like sort of hear like the very ominous like almost like ice crackling. Like it's not breaking, but we feel it groan and protest under his weight as he, as carefully as he can, is making his way. But yeah, we just hear sort of that ominous noise as I'm trying and going.
You eventually find yourselves far enough out on the crystallized salt to make getting back to getting back to the original side quickly impossible. You're in it now. You're out in the middle of it, and you still got a ways to go. your light, your torchlight does not reach the end of the lake, so you're going to be at this for a little while. But the ice or the salt crust does seem to be holding. Every now and then you get to a part that's um, a little thinner, right? And you can see more of the sort of burgling, what's the word I'm looking for? Bubbling green acid.
Gurgling.
Yeah, gurgling green acid underneath the salt crust. You can kind of see it a little more clearly. But you're you're continuing on. And I really want to impress upon you like what this is like. Like you have to imagine like the sort of green, the almost like neon green of the acid, like diffused through this salt layer, casting this like faint green glow over the area, right? As you make your way across. It all seems to be going well enough, slow, but well enough, until very much in your path, stalking back and forth on the lake, is an enormous polar bear. The polar bear, though, is unlike any polar bear you've ever read about. It is very large, like a bear, and it's absolutely white. Yet it is also as black as a negative image. It's a bear, but it's not. It looks like a photo negative of a bear as it moves across the lake, and each of its what would be like heavy thumps of its paws on the salt crust doesn't make that sound at all. It's more of like a yeah, is it? Yeah, is it? There's popping, there's buzzing as this bear cat eater looks back at you all expectantly as if to say, what should we do?
Well, I'm not doing any more risk rolls.
Have a terrible idea.
Oh God.
We love those today.
I would like to shuffle, like gesture to my colleagues to get closer to the side as much as they can, like where the crust is thicker. And I'm going to try and shuffle a little bit more towards the bear. What I want to do is take my axe that I have from my backpack and start to crack into the crust so that the bear falls through, because it's huge. It's way bigger than me.
That's pretty incredible and pretty dangerous.
It's gonna be fine.
Well, grab that risk roll. Let's do it.
It's gonna be just fine. I have skills in surgery and cutting, so I can cut this.
I'm into
Looking
it.
for the proper fish.
Well, we gotta ask us what's gonna happen wrong.
Oh yeah. What do you think is gonna happen? What do you think the worst thing that
You
could
fall in
happen?
the acid.
Yeah. Or you don't do it fast enough and like the noise attracts the bear to attention to you.
Yeah. And then I fall in the acid while getting eaten by a bear.
Just to sort of put insult into injury, I don't think the bear is affected by the acid.
Oh,
That would be
good.
interesting. Yeah, that would be interesting. These are all interesting ideas. You got your first light die.
All right. So yeah, my skill in surgery and cutting. That's my first light die. I will happily accept a devil's bargain, depending on the bargain, for another light die.
The bear is affected by the acid, but not in the way you expect.
Oh no.
Means.
Second phase boss fight. It grows wings. I want to bring it back to your drive. You want to be transformed. I think no matter what, as the bear sort of approaches, you know that you need like it has something essential for your transformation before it falls that you need.
Damn.
I
Um,
will I will translate that mechanically to say you get, if you can acquire whatever that is from the bear going into the acid at that point, or unless you fail, in which case you just see it not going into the acid. Um, no matter what that thing is, it's the equivalent of 3 marks on your horde for free.
damn.
Okay, okay.
Uh, my nightmare what was going to be like there's something swimming in the acid already. So to crack the
That's a
salt.
good one. We should save that one for later.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to take the light die for, or the devil's bargain, that there's something that I need and it's going to be equivalent to 3 marks on my horde.
Hmm.
Am I risking my body? I think I am.
Uh, not yeah, yeah. I guess you are because you're cracking into acid, so I guess that makes sense. Yeah. Let's take a look at your conditions too, see if there's anything relevant or
Bird
interesting.
brain, I owe Devin a
No,
favor, and I've
no, no.
made a
You're
bargain.
no, none of them apply.
I rolled a 6 dark.
6 dark.
My rune goes up to 5.
Your windows go up to 5. You clean success though, and um, give us a scene.
Yeah, I think I gesture, shh, shh, and I gesture to everyone to move aside, and I quickly but quietly shuffle my way across the crust and the salt over to as close as I can dare get to this strange bear that's not a bear. And I'm looking, brushing pieces of bits of salt away to look for fissures that are already in the crust, look for cracks that already exist. And I take out my little hand axe, my little hatchet, and just clink. Nothing happens. Clink. Nothing happens. And then on the last third smack of the hatchet down into the fissure, there is the sound of cracking. If you have ever been to an ice floe crack, it is thunderous how loud it is. And the way the ice cracks, it's not split, it shifts up with these thick layers of assault crust suddenly moving and cascading over one another. And this bear starts to slip down one of them. And I think that's when I see the thing that I need to get. And I will shuffle my way. I know it's dangerous, but I will shuffle my way towards it to get the thing I need.
Spend your token, and I'll give it to you for free.
Awesome.
Just describe how you what it is and what and how you get it.
What I think it is that this bear is, I mean, it is not a bear. It is something else. It is something magical. It is something immortal. And it is wearing a crown. Not a crown of salt, despite the fact that we are in that module, but it is it's more like a crown of bone, but the bone is petrified. It is ancient and old, and it is a part of something that's been immortal like me. And I think I snatch it off the bear's head before it goes into the acid.
Go ahead and make 3 marks on your horde.
Yeah.
And you continue journeying across the Salt Lake. You will eventually reach the other side safely. I want to just know that moment of that tension release of making it over there, like when you finally make it to the other shore. What is that like?
I think the rest of the group manages to get over before Basso actually cracks the bear through the acid. And I think like Nevin in particular is like muttering under his breath of God, I really hope that Basso doesn't end up in the acid. He owes me a favor. Um, um, but yeah.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
I finally do make it over, climbing up onto what is more stone than salt, and heaving a sigh of relief, just sort of collapsing down, because that's a lot of work to shuffle like that. It's hard, and dragging my all of my stuff behind me. Um, and I've got this crown gripped in my hand. I'm white knuckled on it, and I just collapse into the cool stone, heaving breaths, taking my water skin, dumping it on my face to clear the salt off, and looking over to see if everybody else has made it.
Yeah, I think for Alicio, it would have been like, the X thoughts on steadier ground, and then just immediately, like, the way you run for water when you haven't had it in days, like, immediately start putting the armor back on. Like, it's quick and frantic, like, the
Lieselot does
second that I'm
too.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like just really like this anxiety that I'm not wearing it and it doesn't feel right and it's not correct, and immediately putting it back on.
I want to have this moment.
Um,
Lieselot, as you're kind of getting your stuff together, Lieselot catches a glimpse of that cloak. She says, her helmet's down now. I recognize that. I think I know what that is. That's the cloak of the vulture. Do you know the story?
just shake my head.
It is an artifact of great power. They say the wearer is, the wearer is very difficult to hit. That the feathers turn away blows, especially from arrows and such.
Well, it did not save whoever left it here.
As Lieselot tells the story, you'll also start to smell the cloak. It smells a little bit of rot, carrion. You smell it, don't you? That is also part of the legend. For this fabulous protection, you trade your olfactory pleasantness.
There's just kind of like I can live with that vibe.
I myself have wanted to get my hands on something like that.
Indeed.
When you're in my line of work, opponents armed with swords or claw are no trouble, but those armed with crossbows and slings are a bit more to manage.
Powers from a distance whittling you down.
But if I had the cloak of the vulture, I would be near unstoppable.
Indeed. Anyone who has that would be near unstoppable.
She just sits down.
There's
You can't-
the stand-up.
You can't see her eyes looking sideways through her helmet at the cloak. But you travel a little further, and eventually you reach the next sanctuary, and indeed the set goal. You've accomplished 2 set goals, crossing this lake and reaching the sanctuary. The next sanctuary is a crystal clear pond. A little pond in the cave, clear crystalline waters. Eyeless fish swim within. You can smell that the water is not salty. Fergus is taking his equipment off, or is, taking his, setting his gear down, getting ready to camp. He sees the water and he can smell that it's not salty also, but he's still got plenty in his wineskin. He's not going to risk it. everyone else, Cassian and Drathamar, get their books out. Seems like all they do is just read nowadays. Lieselot polishing a halberd, or what do you call that? The shoulder part of the of the armor.
Ultron.
Yeah, thank you. And what's everyone else doing? Cat Eater goes ahead to scout as usual.
I go over to Lise a lot. I drop the cloak between us, and I do this. We're gonna arm for it.
Contest roll?
Sure.
Do you want to
I
risk?
don't wanna.
Do you want to risk like being ruined by this?
Yes,
She ruins you for the cloak of vulture.
it ruins me for the cloak.
That would be horrible.
This is how I go out.
Oh, I mean, she'll do it.
Okay, yeah.
I need to pull up the rules of that roll.
When treasure hunters act against each other, they must agree on what is at stake.
All right, what's at stake? Who gets
The cloak,
who wins the
yeah.
arm wrestling match? Yeah.
I mean, the cloak, but really.
well, but
it's
what
the
but what is
honor
but what
in-
is Lieselot wagering?
What is she wagering?
Huh.
Question. I
Lieselot.
mean, I'll tell you like sort of what high level my intent is here.
Yeah.
I know that they are going to betray us, but already there were some cracks like, oh wait, we actually care about these people. I think I want this to be like an honor debt. Like if I give
Oh.
her something,
Mhm.
how can she then backstab me?
Oh, I see. That's pretty good.
Mhm.
Lieselot will say, "Oh, go ahead. What were you going to say, Nevin?"
Yeah, so the contest role is more about the revealing of the truth in terms of mechanical fiction.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
however, as like a sort of like wager, you could just say like, I will give you this cloak, like wager the cloak against like I don't know, Lieselot's helmet, like or something like that.
Yeah, or like some part of her armor.
Yeah.
like
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. She is very fond of that helmet, right?
Mhm.
Um,
I mean, I don't want the helmet because I wouldn't like. What would I
Yeah.
do with it?
yeah. No, out of character, I like the way you framed it. I
Yeah.
think it's good.
Mhm.
Intriguing indeed.
And then each competing. I mean, yeah, I feel like the stakes here are basically is there an honor depth between us or
Yeah,
not?
I mean, I think the stakes are basically: do you lose the cloak,
Or nothing.
or does Lieselot tell you what their plan is, like what they really need you for, right? I think that's kind of like what the deal is.
Exactly.
Ultimately, it's a sort of out of character thing, but that's okay. It's for the
Mhm.
contest role.
Take a light die if you have a skill or equipment that makes the contest easier. I have the skill of strength.
I gotta check what her skills are. Ferocity.
Okay, yeah. Take one light die for each mark of ruin you currently have. That's 5.
Amanda, I think you have to do this for Lieselot because she's your hireling.
Yep.
All right, let's go. Let's do it. I'm so
I mean, I
happy.
suppose you can be like, no, she's not doing this, but yeah.
No. Are you kidding?
Amanda
the
would
best.
never hurt me like that.
So you're up to one light. So you're both up to one light die. What's the next thing you have to decide?
Take one light die for each mark of ruin you currently have. So that's +5 for me.
And +3 for Lieselot.
And then take a dark die if the contest itself is inherently deadly or dangerous.
No.
I don't think so. Take as many additional dark dice as you are willing to risk.
Amanda, that's your choice.
Hold
And
on, I gotta
how do we
think for a second.
get ruin on this? How does that work?
Um,
You count up the numbers, right? So
you
whoever gets the
count
most
out all the
sixes, right?
six,
Yeah.
and for each dark
Every
die you
one.
roll that shows a 1, you mark a ruin.
Okay. So that's yeah.
So there's 1 in 6 chance of getting a 1 on a dark die.
Oh, here comes the stats person doing the thing.
Okay. Okay.
I would never want to do a contest roll against Amanda.
Amanda,
many
be
times have
nice
we
to
played
me.
Trophy? How many contest rolls have I won? I think it's only ever been once.
Amanda, I'm at 5 ruin. Be nice to me.
All right, I'm ready.
Are you both locked in?
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's roll.
God.
No one got any
Okay.
ruin increase.
Yeah.
Just
That's
so
probably the
that
best roll I've ever done.
it's pretty good. Yeah, just so listeners are conscious of what's going on here. So Alicio did a total of 6 light and 2 dark, and Lieselot did 4 light and 3 dark. Lieselot won the roll with 4 6s to Elicio's 2 6s, and no one got a 1 on the dark dice. So, Amanda, give us the narration of how Lieselot wins.
I think Lieselot loosens part of the elbow armor, in order to make sure that she's got enough room to maneuver, like actually, because this is 100% in her skill set. This is fun for her. She arm wrestles people for fun and puts her arm down. I think it's on a rock. That's very like planed at the top, and grabs your hand and squeezes it just a little. And you can feel the muscles in her fingers. You can hear her knuckles crack as she does it. And you can tell, even though she has not removed her helmet, she is looking straight into your face, right into your eyes with determination.
Is it like a bit of a struggle, or is it just like 1, 2, 3?
She
whack?
wrecks him.
Just like immediate.
She wrecked you on the dice for sure. So
Absolutely.
I think like generally like some of us are milling about camp, and I think Nevin is watching this and seeing Alicio get wrecked so thoroughly. I think Nevin just bursts out laughing of just like
And that actually probably gets like Fergus all worked up to want to do arm wrestling too, right? And so now we're just doing arm wrestling at camp.
I think
I want
for
to
a
know how
moment,
Eliseo reacts to all of this, though.
yeah, we
Yeah.
hear like the thud, like again, like the clanging as it just immediately. And I think for the first time that any of you have known, and he just sits there stunned. Like I think he fully went into this with like, I have this plan. I'm gonna let her win. You know, so that like I'm gonna make it a challenge and I'm gonna let her win, and then just whack 1 second. All it took, he just stares like just completed other shock. That spider, he can handle. The salt, he can handle. This, no frame of reference.
We're gonna wrap up our session with everyone having a good time, like kind of just like, you do have to give up the Cloak of the Vulture to Lieselot, if you want to note that down, Amanda. And I will tell you that wineskins and waterskins are getting a little low. Is anyone going to drink that crystalline water?
You know what? I'm going to go into my backpack and take out a small pot and put some in the pot and put it over the fire and boil it for a while.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Are you then going to drink it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Clean water.
Gotta boil the water first. You don't just drink water right out of a
Okay.
stream. It's crazy. It's insane.
I will tell you that its smell distinctly changed after you boiled it.
It's a good sign.
I'll fill up with water after it's boiled.
Very good. Very good. Very good. That'll wrap our session. Let's go to Stars and Wishes.
Stars to Jazzy for Jazzy. Just everything about the Eliseo interaction with the big spider, everything with Eliseo interacting with Lieselot, just incredible. And the contest role idea, I was so happy, so happy that you were going to risk having your character get totally ruined for this. Just delightful. I love playing games with you. Just going all in, drive it like you stole it. Chaotic. I don't know what kind of evil plan you got going that you mentioned in chat with an evil face, an evil smiley face, but I'm super excited for it. Whatever it's going to be. I have some suspicions, but I'm looking forward to that. That's a wish for mine. But I also really love how Nevin is just this shady little dude. Like, I don't know what his deal is or if we should trust him. Do we trust him more than we trust like our people that we are pretty sure are going to betray us? I don't know. And I really liked the whole scene with Nevin and Garrick really kind of pushing his buttons to get answers. That was really cool, and just a lot of fun. Jason, there was some real solid Jason Cordova mouth noises this session. That was pretty great. I also really liked how you did the polar bear. It was really terrifying. It was scary, and I'm always having a great time with all of you in Trophy. So thank you for this. Oh, and I wish for
Definitely.
Alex to come back and feel better.
Mm-hmm. Definitely have to give us a star for Jason for just very good like foreshadowing this session of like, oh yeah, you stumble into like this white sticky like mess. You never actually as like mentioned webbing in particular, but like I'm like, oh god, it's a giant ass spider, isn't it? Also just like the journaling of like asking of like, oh, what do you remember about this person? What do you remember about this person? What sort of story do you tell? It's like, oh god, what is wrong with this guy? I have to know, but I can't really think of why I wouldn't know it. And I kept on like thinking in the background, like Nevin is like a shifty guy. He knows like when a scam is happening, and he knows like that currently there's a scam that's happening, but he's like, why is it happening? What is going on here? And it's just like the moments that you mentioned, like, oh no, like I like this is like something like we agreed to. Like I knew in my heart of hearts that Nevin would never agree to a deal without getting it written down unless he's trying to scam a person later, which is what he's going to do with Basso next session. Because I'm like, so this item you have, it's very valuable. What if I just were to ask for it? Or perhaps ask something the equivalent of worth of it. Perhaps maybe it's worth probably 5 gold for you. So yeah. that was my evil plan. But then Alicia was like, I'm gonna do this contest role, and I'm like, shit, I'm not gonna get to do my stuff because I'm too invested in this drama with Eliseo because he might ruin out because of this arm wrestling contest. I'm glad that didn't happen, but I'm also really glad that he lost so viscerally of just like, God, it's just really cool. Um, but yeah, I'm really suspicious about what's going on. However, Nevin is not suspicious of the hirelings because he has not been told about like what's going on with the hirelings yet. But I have theories as to what they are, and none of it's good.
Yeah, stars. I mean, honestly, star to the session for completely humiliating Eliseo. I love that we set him up as like this silent, strong, cool type, and this session was like, no, this is a pathetic dude with armor. That's what it is. Like that's all we've got. Yeah, I really loved the Garrick scenes. They were so creepy, just so terrifying. It was, yeah, everything about that. was horrifying. Um, I also really loved like the scene with Alicio stalking them and like how you sort of did that conversation. Like very, like very conspiracy scheming behind our backs, untrustworthy, like very cinematic. I liked that a lot. And then yeah, thank you for coming through for me on those devil's bargains. You got me. You know what I need in life. Just really baiting me with that Lisa-Lot one, and just absolutely perfect. And I really love the description, like that whole moment with Basso and the ice, so tense, and then the description was so incredibly awesome. I also really loved that conversation between Alicio and Basso, where it was like, "Do you trust them?" Nevin, absolutely not. It's like, yeah, but I was talking about the other guys. I just love how they vibed in that way. That was very funny and very telling. Um, Chaotic, yeah, I loved how you played Nevin as like, I know this isn't right, but also I am remembering these things, but they can't be real, and like all of that that was going on. That was very cool. Um, I thought that was very fun how you described that. And yeah, I loved sort of the contrast between Nevin having this like high level schemy part and Alicia's like, I'm just gonna chop his head off if that's cool with you. Like I love the heavy contrast. And I also loved how, yeah, how encouraging everybody was for Alicio to potentially go out in the funniest way possible. Yeah, wishes. I want to see how that's gonna affect Lisa-Lot at all. Even though like I didn't get what I wanted necessarily, I think it would be interesting if it
You've
does
bonded,
change.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like Alicio is taking the loss pretty well. Like he's shocked, but he's not gonna be like, you didn't deserve this or anything, right? It's honor between like these type of people. I'm also just interested to see like their plan unfold. Now we don't know exactly what it is. And yeah, I would love to see if Nevin is gonna get filled in on like, hey, these guys want to backstab us real bad.
Yeah, stars all around. This is really fun. I had such a great time. I really loved how there was such a great interplay between like what the module is doing and presenting and what we're doing with the rules of Trophy and making like how that adjusts it. And even though like Trophy kind of like changes the way things that the module, well, the way things the module intends them to be presented because that's how Trophy works, it still really feels like Crown of Salt as written in the module. Like we're still really getting that, and so I really love that. Individual stars, yeah, the crawling across the salt crust to drop the bear was like really vivid and like tense. Like I was like, oh, this whole. I mean, it was all very tense. The crawling across that whole scene of everybody fanned out doing that was really very tense scene. And I really quite enjoyed it. Star for the contracts idea. That was a really great way of like circumventing, like using your character's nature, but also like using your whatever you have on you to like solve the problem of is this real? Like, are these real memories? Like, is this something that really happened? I also just love that monster, like this sort of like gaslighting blood skeleton monster. Like, it's really amazing, really good. That's from the module. That was it's really cool. Um, yeah, and everything with Alicia today was really fun. The spider thing was really fun. I was really happy that you picked up on that Devil's Bargain and went back to it. Because and I hope it was worth it. It was a lot of money, right? A lot of stuff. So, um, and now you have a gigantic Titanic spider is pissed at you, but it's a minor thing. The arm wrestling thing. It was all just a lot of good stuff today. My only wish is, yeah, I'm just excited to have Cassian and Drathomar no longer just reading books the whole time and like actually back in it. And yeah, just curious to see more of what makes these characters tick. Really curious to see how much longer you're going to go because a couple of you have 5 ruin, which is not great. Um, so yeah, just good times all around. Are there any other stars and wishes? Okay, well then I'm just going to wrap up with this. Everyone's at camp, maybe asleep, maybe not, maybe going in and out of sleep. There's this pool of water with the eyeless fish flopping around in there. and we hear a little as the crow finds you and lands next to you, Basso. You're asleep when he lands. The crow like tilts its head back and forth, its beady black eyes. Sacrifice! And we'll end there.